and welcome to Analysis with me, Oyi Adekunle. Now, Lagos may witness another round of protest as some youths are threatening to hold fresh demonstrations at the Lekki tollgate come February 13th. The aim of this new protest, tagged the hashtag #UntitledChapter, is to express their displeasure over the decision of the Lagos State Judicial Panel to allow Lekki Concession Company reopen the tollgate for operations. Last week, the panel of inquiry set up for victims of the now-defunct Special Anti-Robbery Squad SARS-related abuses and the Lekki tollgate incident approved the reopening of the toll plaza. But some youths have kicked against this, saying without justice for protesters shot on October 20, 2020, the tollgate cannot be reopened. Interestingly, a counter group has also risen. This group, with the name #DefendLagos, believes the last protest brought huge economic setback to the city, and this time they are not ready for any protest again. The concern now is to ensure that both pro and anti-protest groups do not clash. But joining me now to discuss this issue further is Adesina OGUNLANA, a former chairman of the Nigerian Bar Association Ikeja branch, who is also a counsel to some #ENDSARS protesters. Mr. OGUNLANA, thank you very much for joining us on the program. Now, let me start by asking you.
Good morning.
I know that you've been taking active part in the proceedings, that's the panel proceedings. And now, if some members of the panel are not in support of reopening the Lekki tollgate, how exactly did the panel reach this decision? What exactly played out that day on the day of the sitting when the order was given for the tollgate to be reopened?
Thank you very much. Well, the much I can say was that the application was brought by counsel to LCC, for that company to be allowed to repossess the toll gate, toll plaza, Lekki toll plaza, for the purposes of repair, according to them, and insurance, so they can make their insurance claims, and then to start business of their business. That's what they applied for. But it was not the first time that they will be making the application. I think they've made it about 3 times before that time, and it's always been opposed by us for the ENDSARS protesters that we were representing. Our main concern was that the issue of forensic report, that there was a need to do forensic investigation of the place to determine a lot of things. The panel agreed with this and said that even the panel itself will need to have an independent forensic investigation of that place. And so date was given for us to report back, and we reported back that we couldn't do the forensics simply because of money. The demand of the forensic expert was too much for us to bear. The panel itself said that they have engaged a forensic expert who needed 21 days to do his work. So another date was given for the report to be handed over. So I think finally January 6th was February 6th was given for the forensic report to be presented and all that. So February 6th came, and then the report, we were told, when the panel started, we noticed that it was only 5 people out of the possible 9 that sat. And so I raised the issue of quorum, whether that panel was duly constituted, because of the antecedent of the panel, which had explained that on one occasion they could not sit because the representatives of the youths were not there. And that according to the honorable chairman of the panel, the Justice Kuobi, that their quorum is formed when they have a representative of the youth present. So this particular day, the representatives of the youths were not there. None of them was there. And so I asked the question. My Lord, the chairman answered by saying that it is the panel itself that regulates its quorum, and they determine what their quorum is. And I had no problem with that. And the application had been made freshly for reopening or repossession, actually for repossession of the toll plaza. And since it was hinged on the issue of the submission of the forensic report, and we opposed, citing reasons bordering likely on the issue of forensic report, that even if the forensic report is ready, we've not seen it, and there may be need to do further forensic investigation at the place. The panel, the 5-man panel sitting, overruled our objection and summarily said that
And sorry to cut you here, Mr. OGUNLANA, but quickly, let me get your opinion about this latest move by some youths to stage another protest at the Lekki toll gate. Now, what do you make of that? Do you think that that move is necessary at this time?
It is not what I think. It is whether it is within their rights. What do I think? It depends on me. But what I will ask as a lawyer is that if you want to do a protest or anything, is it within your rights? The answer to me as a lawyer is that it's within your rights to protest. The question is that how do you conduct yourself? I cannot begin to query a constitutional right. Constitutional rights have modifications and modalities. But to begin to say, because I do not agree or I agree, not everybody is going to agree with reasons for any protest. Even the setup of a panel, some people are even against it. Even appearing before the panel, participating, some people are completely against it. Not to talk of a constitutional right, to dissent, to say no, to express your opinion. That's all what protest is about, to express your opinion. They have the right to express their opinion. The issue will be, do you conduct yourself within the ambit of the law? That is the crucial question, whether I think it is necessary or it is not necessary. I can go out tomorrow and say I'm protesting that government has not banned Gary. So most people it will be senseless. But you have my right. Opinions are free. Conduct yourself peacefully. That should be the focal point.
Very well indeed. But then, Mr. OGUNLANA, you know that in this case we have a certain group that is for the protest and we have another group that is sort of against the protest. So the concerns now is that the groups are staging the protest on the same day at the same venue. So, I mean, it's just a thing of concern that people are scared and hope that there will not be clashes and all of that. So what exactly do you foresee happening on the day of that protest?
What I foresee, it is what I think should not even happen. Well, the first group of people say they are protesting against our decision of the panel to grant SEC repossession. That's what their grievance is about. What is the grievance of the other person? The other group has not said we are coming to protest in support of the panel. No, that is not what they are saying. They are saying we are coming to defend Lagos. And that's one I can't really understand. If you are coming to protest to defend Lagos, must you go to where some people are saying they are going to protest on a particular issue? You can go to the Palace of Joba of Lagos. You can go to the Lagos High Court. These are places that were attacked and all that. And at any rate, look at the languages of the two groups. The first group is just saying, we are going to protest. We are going to protest. We are going to protest. The other group is saying, if they burn you well, we will deal with you. We'll dig it on ground. We will show you. That one language seems peaceful. The other one seems violent. And the government is looking on. You remember that even the first protest, the ENDSARS protest that we had, at a point, there were violent people that came to disrupt the protest. And what I was, so not only in Lagos here, in Abuja as well, people known as miscreants and thugs and all that, even using government buses to be brought to the scene of the place. So what we are saying now is that what ordinarily will a government that is interested genuinely in democratic practice will do. And they will say, well, you second person that said that you want to do your own protest, you want to do protest against protest. One, that is funny, but you still is within your rights You want to protest against a protest, let the people that came first, let them do their own protest. Let them do their own protest. Maybe it's the second day or the third day, you can come, or you don't need to choose that place. You are the one looking for trouble. That's what I think any reasonable, fair-minded security organization will say. That, gentlemen, APC wants to do something now. That's when PDP now say, at the same venue, we want to do. Or some Christian group say, we want to do this thing here. That's when a Muslim group or a traditional group say, we want to do our own crusade there. You are the one looking for trouble. So, so ideally, both groups have their rights to protest. But since somebody has chosen a venue first, then the second group will have to look for another venue if they must do it that day. If not, get another day and say, okay, we want to come. You are doing your own on Saturday. The other Saturday we are going to come, or during weekday or something. That is how you enlarge the democratic space and deepen the democratic culture, and not for the government to say, sit down, look, and all that kind of a thing. I will not want to comment on the propriety or otherwise of the second group. They have the right to protest. In fact, you can protest against God. You can protest. But they are the one now seeming to be doing things that will not look as if they can do their own protest within the ambit of the law. As for the first group, you have the right to protest, but make sure that the rules governing protest does not go or does not offend against the law of the land. That's all.
Mr. OGUNLANA, I know you spoke earlier about forensic findings into happenings at the Lekki toll gate. So how far has the panel gone so far in really unraveling the mystery that occurred on the night of October 20? And while the panel is still sitting, do you think it is morally fair to reopen the Lekki toll gate?
No, the issue of whether it is good to reopen the toll gate now does not lie with me. I've debated that with the court, with other lawyers in the panel. And then the panel has taken two positions. There's what we call a majority position, and then there's a minority position. Those very slim, but there is a majority position. And the only worrisome thing for me is that the disagreement of these two factions of the panel, if you can say they are factions or groups, is that their disagreement is on fact, not on interpretation of law. If it's on interpretation of law, there's no problem. But both of them agree that this thing is going to be opened on the submission of a forensic report. 5 people say the forensic report is ready. 4 other people say the forensic report is not ready. That is what is actually, to me as a lawyer, that's a bit of a concern. But as to whether they should repossess, the panel has deemed it right by sheer number. Well, whether they even constitute a legal majority or proper majority, these are issues, they are legal issues. They have taken a position. It is for one to react as a lawyer, not to be saying, I can't begin to advise the panel on what to do. I'm not their consultant.
But can the panel revisit, can it revisit that decision it took? Can it come and give another order saying that maybe you should just put a hold to the reopening of the toll gate?
Well, that will be left up to them. There's a lot of jurisprudence loaded in that your question to answer it. Ordinarily, when a court has made a decision or a panel has made a decision, it cannot ordinarily reverse itself. That is the law, except when it says maybe it's been misled, maybe fraud has been perpetrated on it in coming to the decision, or where it's in want of jurisdiction. This is a very, very sensitive area, and it's up to the panel. It's up to the panel of inquiry. They are peopled by wise men and women, and led by very experienced and mature retired judges and sons too. So whether they can revisit, whether they will revisit, that is their own challenge and not ours. Ours is at best to canvass such a position where it is feasible.
All right, Mr. OGUNLANA, we'll just have you take a pause here, and when we come back, we'll be talking about the progress that has been made so far by the Lagos State Judicial Panel of Inquiry. Please, we'll take a short break here, and when we return, we'll still have Mr. OGUNLANA with us on the program. Don't go away. Welcome back. You're still watching Analysis on TV 360 Nigeria, and I still have with me on the program Mr. Adesina OGUNLANA, who is a former chairman of the Nigerian Bar Association of the Ikeja branch and also counsel to some #EndSARS protesters. And we've been discussing the planned reopening of the Lekki tollgate and the pro and anti groups that have come up to about plans to protest at the toll gate on February 13. Mr. OGUNLANA, thank you very much for staying with us on the program. Now, you've been actively involved in the panel proceedings. Tell us, how far has the panel gone in really probing activities of the now defunct SARS and victims who have been victims of abuses of that arm of the police unit?
Well, thank you so much. I will say that as we regard the assignments pertaining to SARS-related abuses, as distinct from the incident of 20th October 2020 with ENDSARS protesters, Lekki shooting, Lekki massacre, I should say that from the reports that I've been hearing, they must have gone far, although I understand that the petitions were many and that there's a bit of delay foisted on the speed of the panel itself, not by the panel but by the police, who well, maybe their participation has improved now, but I think in the earlier days there were delays caused by the police that they do not come at all, or it was excuses galore, or they will come late and all that. But from what we read, I've been more involved in the Lekki tollgate incident. Even our own other matters for ENDSARS, they have not even been listed at all. But generally, from what we read, they work hard. I think the panel itself had to increase its days of work, I think by 1 or 2 days. It used to be Tuesday and Thursday or something on Saturday, but they added Thursday to it and all that. So it's I think it's almost a back-breaking job. And from what the feelers I've had from people who have appeared there, it seems that most people are satisfied with the industry and their investigation. I'm not in a position to, but this is what I feel. I get there, and they really want to work hard, and their docket is really big and full. And I think they allowed petitions to come in until December 22 from October, and they have to put a stop. But if you ask me, I should like to say with due respect 2 things. One, that the date of March, which is supposed to be their terminal date of operation, should be extended at least by 3 months. It should be extended if they really want to do a thorough job. We're already in almost mid-February, and you know, unlike other panels in other parts of the country, this is a twin-headed panel, starting with also the very, very controversial, almost volatile Lekki massacre investigation. So, or shooting, that's the word the government has said to use, shooting. And so I don't think that time is enough for them. You have to also consider that I understand it's only 200 million naira that the government has put down for the purpose of restitution. I should like to urge that should be revisited and should be made 1 billion naira. If they have about 270 petitions, and there was one particular petitioner was asking 100 million naira for himself alone. I know the court is not here for that Christmas, but nonetheless, if they find merit, even in 100 of this 170, how do you want 200 million naira to be shared? It will not be adequate. So because restitution is meant to do healing, when you are doing restitution, it's not supposed to be insulting or to be even provoking annoyance. That was this. They have cut my leg, they have cut my hand, they have destroyed my vehicles, they've destroyed my livelihood and all that. They broke my back, and the panel is now giving 500,000 naira. Even getting to Lekki in court, getting the lawyers, getting all these things and this trouble. So my appeal is that the panel to work very well, because government has set up to realize that they have really saddled them with double job, not just one job. And the second one is not secondary at all. In fact, it's so serious. And that one they have not, to me, with due respect, as regard to Lekki TOLLGATE investigation, I would say maybe the panel has done only 35%. Not by its own fault. The panel is always there, but there have been parties who have been evasive, who have been delaying and all that, and asking for time, significantly the army, the Nigerian army. They are here to hear the stories or claims of the petitioners, of the ENDSARS protesters. On our side alone, we have 16. On the other side, they have 7, that's 23. The officers have not told their stories. The medical reports have not been fully investigated.
But lastly,
the people we summoned, they have not been brought. So quite, I'm asking that the date be extended to at least June of this year, and then compensation for more money meant for compensation should be increased from 200 million to at least $1 billion naira. That's my own humble perspective.
And before I let you go, Mr. OGUNLANA, earlier you spoke about restitution, and then I really want to get your opinion on this. Recently, the court ordered the CBN to unfreeze account of 20 #EndSARS protesters, and that's after their legal representatives agreed to end the case amicably. What do you make of that?
Well, if it is the court, the government has brought these people to court and then granted leave to permit the freezing and all that. At the end of the day, the court in its wisdom has decided, has given an order that the accounts be defrozen, if you can use that word. What I make of it is that that seems progressive enough. That means the allegation of maybe terrorist funding or terrorist purpose were confounded. And it should encourage people to believe more in the judicial system. Even as late as yesterday night, young people still believe that you can't get anything done through the courts, anything meaningful by way of justice. But this decision, although I'm amused to hear later, if it is true, that I'm still finding it unbelievable that the Attorney General of the Federation made a comment to the effect that the government is not going to be intimidated. Government is not going to be intimidated by a court order that said they should unfreeze. I don't want to believe he said that. What I expect an Attorney General to do is, if he feels not satisfied with the decision of the court, is to go and appeal on the matter, and not to say the court is trying to intimidate them. I don't want to believe that Malami, as interesting as he is as Attorney General, can really make that statement. But if that statement is made, it's quite unfortunate and indicates the intolerant attitude of government, the unprofessional attitude of that particular Attorney General, and the poor quality of advice that the executive arm of government is getting from its legal department. And that is unfortunate, if indeed it is true.
Well, Additional OGUNLANA, a former chairman of the Nigerian Bar Association and counsel to #EndSARS protesters. We thank you very much for joining us on Analysis, and thank you very much for giving us, sharing your thoughts with us.
Thank you.
That's the latest we can take on this episode of Analysis. We thank you very much for watching. I'll see you again next time. I am Oyi Adekunle. Bye for now.